Okay, hello everyone. Sorry, I just with the recording because the cloud is full. Saying, just a moment, please. Okay. Yeah, welcome everyone to the second part of the dedication, aka sharing is caring. So let's start with some prayers as usual. Zudem. In the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until I attain enlightenment. Through the merit of practicing generosity and the rest, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. In the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until I attain enlightenment. Through the merit of practicing generosity and the rest, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. In the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until I attain enlightenment. Through the merit of practicing generosity and the rest, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the genuine happiness devoid of suffering. And may they dwell in boundless equanimity that is free from attachment and aversion. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the genuine happiness devoid of suffering, and may they dwell in boundless equanimity that is free from attachment and aversion. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the genuine happiness devoid of suffering. May they dwell in boundless equanimity that is free from attachment and aversion. Okay, one more thing. Sorry, I'm still struggling with this one recording thing here. Okay, so no, all is good. Thank you, Emilia. Yeah, why not? Maybe where are you here? You can do a local recording. That doesn't hurt. Thank you. Lange tak. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Good to see you. So, yeah, I think most or all of you have been there, I think, 2 days ago. So I guess you all know where we are. But still, so we are going through the last chapter of Shantideva's Bodhicaryavatara, which is dedication of all the goodness, merit, healthiness, positiveness, and whatever we have accumulated through our practice of the 6 parameters, which is sort of the essence of every Bodhisattva's practice. And this, now in the 10th chapter, we have started to share and to dedicate first just generally by remembering that wherever beings are in samsara, they are suffering one of the 3 types of suffering. And then more specifically, we went through the lower realms and the suffering that is associated with those. So, yeah, so we talked more at length about suffering in the hell realm, then shortly about suffering in animal realm, and then suffering in the hungry ghost realm. And so by remembering those specific sufferings that beings can experience, we then dedicated the marriage, always connected with the wish that, yeah, they are free of that suffering, and that whatever is creating suffering in their projection or experience, that this is transformed into some positiveness or something that is also supportive on the path, ideally. Okay. Then let's maybe just go to the next verses, and then, oh yeah, after a few verses, we always then discuss. Now we are coming more to the sufferings of the higher realms. So there we have human realm, demigod realm, and the God realm. And so we start, I think, with the human realm, and there we talk about specific sufferings now from verse 18 onwards. And the first one is here mentioned. Oh, I'm not sharing anymore. That was quick. So here we're talking about, now we will go through various sufferings that, of course, also animals can have, and I guess maybe other realms too. But usually it's more explained in the context of human realm, being blind, either being born blind or we are that is acquired. So, and yeah, form is sort of the object of the eye, and yeah, we are not able to perceive it, and there are usually like different causes for that. One big cause is called like obstructing the light of Dharma, light. That can mean many things, you know, that we destroy Dharma books, or that we disrespect Dharma books by stepping on them, or that we disturb others who want to practice or study Dharma, or if we like really with a bad intention criticize the Dharma. These are like things that are sort of categorized as obstructing the light of Dharma. Of course, criticizing is always good, maybe not always good, but it's often good. And we are also, of course, encouraged to examine and analyze the Dharma and be critical. But here it's really meant just for the sake of criticizing it, and without really much information, being very negative about it, and maybe also like intentionally, with a bad intention, trying to discourage other Dharma practitioners, but or even other religions, you know, that we are like very like negative about other religions. Of course, if there's an interreligious dialogue, then it's good to talk about the pros and cons of whatever tradition, but here is really meant in a negative way. And yeah, and of course, also if we blind others, that is also a cause for being blind ourselves. And so here the practical advice or prayer of Shantideva is, may the blind see form, so that all beings may be free from blindness and the causes which I just mentioned of blindness. And yeah, the best remedy, like specifically against blindness, is basically seeing the light of Dharma, which means like developing the eyes of wisdom, you know, to see the two truths, relative truth and absolute truth, how things appear and how things really are. That is basically what we have studied in the 9th chapter when we studied Madhyamika. And then the next one, being deaf, can be another suffering that we can experience. For example, in the human realm, there the cause could be that we are, for example, like I think the classical cause is like if we are interrupting musical offerings to the three jewels, or that maybe we also interrupt other people's hearing of the three jewels, and that is of course also a big suffering, and yeah, I think Immanuel Kant, I think he said, if we are blind, we are getting more and more distant from things, and if we are deaf, we are getting more and more distant from beings. And here, yeah, we of course pray that everybody may overcome deafness and the causes of deafness, and yeah, and so we should therefore also not destroy anything that is related to the sound of Dharma. We should not be an obstacle to anything that is related to the sound of Dharma. And yeah, I think that is quite easy. And then the next one, I think that in Christianity, that is something that God intentionally cursed the women, right? That the birth is very painful. And just as it was with Maya Devi, may pregnant women give birth, or may pregnant women give birth without any pain. So yeah, that is wherever that is coming from. But yes, giving childbirth is definitely painful and dangerous for everyone involved. I mean, especially the mother and the child. Nowadays, of course, with modern technology, it's the mortality is not that high. But in earlier years, that was really like a big cause for mortality, and that was like in average reducing the lifespan of beings, you know, like humans. And just because of the removal of childbirth, that's why the average of lifespan is, or expectancy is actually much higher now. But it's not that in earlier times people didn't live like 80 years. That indeed happened, you know, but just the death connected to giving childbirth was quite high. Yeah, and it's really painful for the mother, of course, this we know. And yeah, also for the babies. Like Gampopa is talking a lot about that in his Jewel Ornament of Liberation, how many sufferings are there involved, you know, and how, I mean, I think he's comparing it with many things, what a baby is feeling when she or he is born. Because yeah, one is so used for 9 months basically to swim, you know, and only have water around, but suddenly it's and warmth and darkness, and then suddenly it's so dry, it's so cold, it's so bright, you know. There's a lot of trauma actually for the newborn. So that is from the baby side, but here Shantideva is focusing actually more on the mother's side, that yeah, all women may be free from the pain of giving birth, and that it may be effortlessly and painlessly, and giving birth to healthy kids. And the example here is Maya Devi, yeah, the mother of Prince Siddhartha, who became the Buddha. So she was the queen, and yeah, she's, I don't know if that's really true, but she's used usually as the archetype for that, that she was pregnant, but still during her pregnancy, she actually taught many beings, even like went to the farmers and taught them, and also she had like a healing power while she was pregnant. So when she touched others, you know, with her hand, then they got healed. And she also performed a lot of charity while she was pregnant. And then finally, when it was about time to give birth, then she went to the forest of Lumbini, and then and that is also said that is showing her love to solitude. So that was another auspicious factor, you know, all these auspicious factors that she performed during pregnancy. They are believed to be the cause and condition why her pregnancy was not painful. But of course, she was pregnant with Buddha. But going to the forest was also showing her love for solitude. And then, yeah, she gave birth to Prince Siddhartha, and there were so many wonderful signs, and again, flowers everywhere, and no pain, but a lot of bliss. Okay, maybe one or two more, and then let's discuss. Then the next one, not having anything to wear. So Shantideva here is hoping that may those who have nothing to wear and therefore those who are naked find clothing. And here the main cause for having nothing to wear is basically stealing, especially if it's from the three jewels or representations of the three jewels, like if we steal the robes or if we steal texts or offerings or relics, or also if we steal from our parents, and or generally if we are very like stingy or jealousy, or if we only give in a very calculative manner without really a good heart, but with a lot of agendas in mind. Those things are usually the causes for not having enough clothes, and then also being cold or unprotected. And here Shantideva is wishing that all of them may be free from exactly that suffering and be happy and have, of course, very pleasurable and good clothes and soft clothes, and the main, and also of course that may everybody be free of creating more causes for having nothing to wear. So one should be careful not to accidentally steal offerings, or some Rinpoches also say, like, if, for example, if we find a good statue somewhere, then we should not start bargaining, on the black market or something, but there one should be generous and just buy or give the price that was asked for, it could also be that the statue was stolen, so, or whatever, vajra or bell, then therefore it's always good to consecrate all these items, so that we are not connected to this negativity. Another thing here, people are, of course, so many people, like humans and animals, are hungry on this planet. Also, that is caused by stealing, especially if we steal food from others. And therefore, Shantideva is praying that all the hungry people find food, and that they really have good food, nourishing food. Good food or nourishing food is, of course, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's suggested because we have a precious human life, hopefully, and our aim is that it lasts long and for the benefit of others. So therefore, junk food is not something so much to be prayed for, but it should be really healthy making food or life prolonging food. Same, of course, with drinks. May those who don't have anything to drink may they thirsty find water and delicious drinks. So fresh juice we can visualize here, with a lot of vitamins or superfoods in it. Atisha was praising the water in Tibet. I'm sure you know that. Therefore, he said the water in Tibet is so clear, I mean, compared to India, and gave like 8 qualities, that it's so healthy for the throat, for the stomach, and so gentle, and few more like this. And so that is the classical example, but we can also just apply to whatever is healthy now and, of course, pure. I think that is all very clear, but do you have anything to discuss on these verses? Ta-da, Emilia. And everybody, please don't be shy just because Amelia is asking. Please also feel encouraged to ask or discuss or criticize. Yes, madam?
And it relates the deafness. It relates to when now when we were in India and Rinpoche was giving our transmissions, and some people didn't stop talking while the transmissions were going on, would that come to that classification of somehow blocking or disturbing
Yes.
the hearing the transmissions?
Yeah. I'm sure everybody who has received transmissions together with Tibetans or Bhutanese, and that should not sound racist, but after a few hours of transmissions, normally Tibetans and Bhutanese are very much in a picnic mode and kids running around, and then the transmission really becomes at best secondary. And yeah, that's a pity, because transmissions, Rinpoche is always very relaxed about what we can do when there are transmissions. We can do emails, we can read, but we should not sleep, and we should have nothing that is blocking our ears, so we cannot listen to music. Yes. And if there's party going on around us, then that is, yes, exactly, that is stopping us receiving the transmissions, and therefore those party people, they accumulate that cause that could lead to deafness. Yeah. Also, another example is if we are if we practice in a group and we use our damaru or bell extra loud, that is also not good. If we disturb our colleagues who are practicing with us, with our noisy instruments, too noisy instruments, Yeah. Okay. Then there are a couple more of these sufferings that unfortunately happen easily. Now, poor poverty. So may the poor find wealth. So this is if somebody is destitute. Of course, the causes are sort of clear. Also, it's stealing, robbery, and so on. And Shantideva is hoping that everybody has wealth. And of course, the best wealth is contentment. If you feel you have enough, then you are wealthy. But even if you have like Dagobert Duck, you have everything. I think Dagobert Duck has different names in different countries, so I don't know if that makes sense. So let's say even if you have a lot of things, but if you're not content, you still feel poor. So therefore, the best wealth is always contentment. So that we just have the feeling, I have enough, really. It's good how it is. And then the next one here is if you are, that is apparently more meant for the mental suffering. So if somebody feels weak or what is the word, like careworn, and maybe depressed, and then may this person find joy and happiness, whenever one is really tormented mentally, maybe like clinical depression or sadness or despair, then it is good to wish the opposite. But I think despair actually is more here, may the forlorn find new hope. I don't know if we have German speakers here, but forlorn, I checked, is actually the same. It's like in German, verloren. It's coming from that. That's, anyway, so if one is full of despair, then, and is totally hopeless, then Shantideva is praying that those beings, who are mentally not well and disturbed, that they find new hope and constant happiness and prosperity and success, and so that their mind is whole again, so that their life is good, on a very relative level, and that they may be strong and accomplish their wishes and have more courage and more self-confidence. yeah, in the 7th chapter, we already talked about diligence and the opposite of diligence, and that was laziness. And there was one laziness that was being like that, like being depressed or discouraged or not having self-confidence. So, and yeah, many problems come from that. So therefore, it's important to have positive courage and positive self-confidence. Not in the overdosage like arrogance, but yeah, this joy of living and the joy and of doing good things. Oh, there's some chat thing going on. Forlorn, verlassen. Yes. Abandoned or lonely also. Yes. Yeah, I think also loneliness is a big thing nowadays. Khyentse Rinpoche is saying that is sort of the side effect of what we actually wanted. We all want to be very like independent, want our own flat, our own space and privacy, but that is actually alienating us from each other. And then, yeah, many people feel lonely, and that creates again depression and so many other mental turbulences or turmoil. So yeah, so therefore also be careful not to be, I mean, it's good to have privacy, like in the sense of isolating oneself from all the troubles and upheavals in the world, but yeah, also don't overdo it, so that you're not getting too isolated and too lonely. But yeah, I guess maybe every day it's good to have both, to be with people and be alone, to not fall into any extreme. Okay, now we are coming more to sickness in the physical sense. And yeah, from Tibetan point of view, sickness or illness is always coming from an imbalance of our elements. You have these 5 elements, how our body is construed. And since the entire world is also made out of these same 5 elements, the outer body, the outer world can be used, to bring our balance elements in back to balance. And the cause for sickness and illness are always like negative actions where we harm others, we kill others, or also I think Khyentse Rinpoche said also if we are going to mediums, he thinks like many mediums are not really like kosher, but they use very like samsaric spirits, to and that can create many negativities in our body. Yeah, and sicknesses, illnesses, yeah, I guess we all have been victims of those. And so there can be like so many different illnesses and symptoms. And Gampopa, he talks about like 7 things about what the suffering is when we are ill, I made a list, so I will just read it. So suffering of great pain, okay, that is obvious. Then and Gampopa lived, now I forgot, I think maybe 1100 after Christ or something, but really long time ago. Wait, Gampopa. He was a doctor, by the way, but then he lost his wife and kids and then became a monk, and then the famous Gampopa. Yeah, 1079 he was born. So he said like sickness or illness has like 7 sufferings. The first one is having pain. The second is that we have like harsh operations that are painful, or maybe also nowadays diagnostics, that are painful. My most unfavorite was always like this bone marrow thing. If you try to get the bone marrow of somebody, that is like, I think that is super harsh. Then Gampopa is saying the third one is we have to take very bitter medicine or untasty medicine. And then the fourth suffering is, that we have to confine to a specific diet. We cannot eat what we want anymore. We cannot drink what we want. And And then the fifth suffering is to please the doctors. That is another suffering. If you have an illness, you know, you have to be sort of in friendly terms with the doctors, which is sometimes difficult. And then the sixth suffering is the decreasing wealth. I don't know, in some countries, I think the health insurance is quite good, but yeah, I know in other countries you can get bankrupt, you know, if you have a serious disease. And then last, and of course not the least, or maybe it's the least actually, sorry, it's the suffering of the fear of death, you know. If you have a sort of serious illness, yeah, that is very like present there also, you know, the fear that we might die. So there are these 7 kinds of illnesses, and yeah, you can read more on them in Gampopa's Jewel Ornament of Liberation. And so Shantideva is praying that may all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their illness. And yeah, may every disease in the world never occur again, so that yeah, all the causes of illness are removed, and one is like, yeah, having a well-functioning, precious human life. Of course, we can also practice with a disease, and maybe we can even use the disease and that difficulty or that pain as the practice. But in many cases, might be more conducive to just be healthy, you know, and have the strength and not this extra physical problem, or maybe not to need medicine that is maybe also messing with our clarity or with other things. There's so many more problems here. May the frightened cease to be afraid. Yeah. If you a little bit are familiar with Tara, there are these 21 Taras, and they're all protecting from various fears. So yeah, you can read all about fears there, the 21 Taras. But yeah, it could be like just murderers or shootings or bandits or demons or fire or tornadoes or dictators or bad presidents, or you know, whatever, or of course also smaller things, you know. And yeah, fear is of course coming always from attachment and aversion, you know. We are which is again based on ego clinging, and I think we talked about that last time. And those bound be freed. So we, yeah, may all those who are like imprisoned or chained physically or mentally, you know, like who are mentally controlled, or maybe who are cursed, if you believe in that, you know, that may they be free from that. And yeah, may those who are powerless or who are weak, yeah, find power and be strong. Yeah, from Buddhist point of view, like weakness comes if we are entangled in the 8 worldly dharmas of hope and fear. So that's why that is the best to overcome. And for that, the best is again wisdom. That was also said in the 9th chapter. That is one of the main outcomes of realizing wisdom is to overcome hope and fear, or the 8 worldly dharmas. And then, and may people think of benefiting others or one another. That implies the problem that we lack love, you know, that we don't love each other enough, that our hearts are too hard and that we are too egoistic. So Shantideva is hoping that we can all open our hearts, have more gentle hearts, and be loving and helpful and caring with each other. Okay, before we go on the road with the travelers, anything to discuss? yeah, it's not super cryptic, right? Then let's go through more verses then. I was actually hoping to finish today, but I'm a little bit aware that that might not happen. Let's see. So now there's a lot about travelers, and I guess nowadays traveling is maybe safer, but at that time, yeah, you really are like less protected and more alone and more in the jungles and with more wild animals and I don't know, maybe robbers also. But so there are a couple of traveler verses here. May all travelers find happiness everywhere they go. And without any effort, may they accomplish whatever they set out to. Yeah, and I mean, there were many merchants at that time also, of course, who had to travel a lot, you know, and they were gone for months. And then there are many problems, you know, like diseases they could get because it's maybe another climate or it's maybe it's a little bit more safe or hygienic at home. Of course, there can be bandits and gangs and robbers. And that could also, that all this traveling, you could, of course, also always apply to the spiritual path, you know, that we are travelers there and that we face adversities like our good old or less good old kleshas and those things. And so Shantideva is praying that we all then without any effort, without any hardships, accomplish and reach our goals, whatever they are. And then if they are good goals, of course. 24, may those who sail in ships and boats obtain whatever they wish for. Yeah, the classical example is always that people went to go to islands to find precious jewels, you know. But then there were many storms, of course, on the ocean or sea monsters. And so may they then safely return to the shore and may they joyfully reunite with their relatives, like so that they come back to the shore of their home and then meet their parents, loved ones, kids, and so on again, and then have quality time with them, joyfully reunite. Okay, still traveling. May troubled wanderers who have lost their way meet with fellow travelers. Yeah, so if one is lost in wherever, in forests and of course that is fearful and one is very unprotected, then it's good to have to meet some good companions or even travel guides if possible, who can protect us. And then, yeah, without any fear of thieves and tigers, may their going be easy without any fatigue. So may they reach all their destination without difficulties. And yeah, it's of course good to also maybe if we are on a travel ourselves, you know, it's good maybe in the beginning of the journey or before the journey to make some good dedications and aspirations. Then 26, may those who find themselves in trackless, fearful wilderness, yeah, at that time really like there might be tigers, leopards, lions, of course, poisonous snakes or insects, and yeah, may one is free from those who you can find in the wilderness. The children, the aged, the unprotected. So everybody who is unprotected could be also mentally, you know, if you're full of fear or very distracted, or what was the word earlier, forlorn or whatever. And those, yeah, who are maybe are sleeping or unconscious, stupefied or insane or crazy, or maybe also who are oblivious to danger, you know, may they be guarded by beneficent deities, let's say. Okay. Yeah, I think that's ending the traveling section. Anything about that? I think I even have some pictures on that. We once created a children's book, and there must be something from these stanzas too. Yeah, that was a picture for the travelers. And let's see if I have more from this verses. Yeah, but that is not so. Yeah, that's okay. Emilia, no, maybe Veronica first. Emilia already had her chance. To Norway.
Yes. Can you put up the verse 25 again?
Lasso. Made troubled wanderers.
Yeah, I was just thinking, because you commented on verse 24, the fact that it could be seen as also the travelers on the path.
Yes.
And I just realized when reading verse 25 that one, if we see it under the light of travelers on the path, it's really beautiful. I just wanted to share that. I spontaneously read it with that angle when you commented the previous one, and said that, wow, this is how it is important. Can it be read that way also, to see that how we need to find other Sangha members?
Yes.
And the thieves and tigers could be any people or anybody who would stand in the way of our path in some way.
Yeah, or the tigers or thieves within our mind, also.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. It was just a reflection like that. I found that really powerful when reading it, thinking that the travel was the path, and thinking about the importance of finding fellow Sangha members.
Yeah, it's often said, it's really important to have Sangha members who or beings who support us and protect us and have a good influence and who have a vast mind, otherwise it's really contagious.
It really resonates for me that way, specifically because of the situation I'm in, where I'm quite far away from, there's not so much going on in Norway within Buddhism. So and being a part of this group, it's only the second time I join you. So it really resonated. That's all I wanted to share. Thank you.
But I'm a Norway friend, and by the way, I got your email, I will answer. But I think the good thing is in Norway, people are generally kind, and friendly. That I think, even though maybe not Sangha members, but I thought generally that there's more humanity there, I don't know.
Yeah, well, yes, in general, yes. That's how at least foreigners perceive most. It's true. Yeah. It is true, but it also has a kind of little bit cold kind of it's not so easy to get in touch with Norwegians. I have lived 25 years in another country, and I'm only back in Norway since a couple of years, and really making friends in Norway is not so easy, actually.
Yeah,
and Buddhism is definitely not very developed, but okay, that's another story. Thank you.
Another story. My brother moved to Norway. That's why I'm sometimes there. And I think 20 years ago, but he worked in an international company. So therefore, I immediately had very many international friends living in Norway. That is helpful, but it's not the Norwegians that he is meeting.
No, exactly. But that's at the first sight, yes, they are friendly. I do confirm that.
Okay, then let's go to Sweden and then to India. Emilia.
Is one thing is actually to Veronica. Veronica, there is in Oslo, there is a Karma Tashi link I can write down, and they are wonderful. Kandrola goes there and gives teachings. They're really nice Sangha. And Lama Chanchup is wonderful. So I'll just write down the name, KTL. Yeah, Arne, was the question about the celestials. Who are, what are these celestials who are like kind of protecting? Gods,
No,
demigods?
No, let's say deities.
Okay.
It's the same word in Tibetan. I don't know why it was translated by celestial. You know, they use the same word for God or for deity in Tibetan. It's La. And yeah.
Okay.
That's why in German, actually, we say God and Gotthood. Gotthood is sort of the deity, and God is the God realm. But in Tibetan, it's the same. So really just use deities here. Because, yeah, we're not taking refuge to God realm beings, and they might even, yeah, they might not be interested or powerful enough either. And yes, I have been there in this KTL in Oslo. A little bit expensive, but that's how Norway is. I think they have 50 euro for one teaching. But yeah, it's really lovely. And there's also a retreat center nearby. And Pallavi.
Actually, I was just thinking about that passage and the verse, and I think Veronica's, and the say from threat, the 8 great fears and 16 lesser fears. That's what usually we are kind of hijacked by in our minds, and is that part of it when we're lost on our way mentally, basically, the external fears and the internal fears.
Yes. Yes. The biggest enemy is always inside, at least in me. I don't know about you guys. But there was no question, right, Pallavi?
No, just wanted to
Yeah.
clarify about this aspect of things about external and internal fears.
Yeah.
And all this.
Cool. But also, Pallavi, Prashant once found a dead leopard near the waterfall near Beer. So there's also external dangers actually where you are.
There is. Yes.
Okay, doc. Then where are we going now? Now we come to 27, where we wish that everybody is reaching their aims. So may beings free from all states of no leisure and be endowed with faith, wisdom, and kindness, with food obtained in a proper manner and excellent conduct. May they be mindful throughout their lives. Oops. Yeah, here that is sort of the key word here, like that describes precious human life. I mean the opposite, like free from all states of no leisure. That is the precious human life. So may all beings have that. In other words, may all beings have the circumstances and situation to practice the Dharma. Or in other words, may all beings have the circumstances to see the truth, that's, or practice the truth. It doesn't have to be Dharma in a Buddhist sense, and be endowed with faith, wisdom, and kindness. Yeah, you can also read that in Words of My Perfect Teacher, the different kinds of faith. Wisdom is always these 2 types, you see the relative truth and the absolute truth, how things appear and how things are. Yeah, and kindness. And yeah, faith also refers to trusting karma, the principle of karma. And yeah, kindness is compassion and love, I guess, in this context. And they are all important. And yeah, in Mahayana, wisdom is always the most important, because that is really what is cutting through the roots of all negative emotions. Everything else can only like make them smaller or weaker, but not really like uprooting them. But wisdom is that what is really uprooting this. And wisdom also means we then on the path, we have the relative wisdom of to know what to do and what to reject. And then, yes, food is of course important. And there, yeah, it should be also the proper food. And so that is nourishing and healthy, and that is obtained in a proper manner. If we study the Eightfold Noble Path, there's this right livelihood is one, and so that is meant here. We have right through life to right livelihood or right conduct. We obtained the food. So, for example, we are not stealing it, of course, and we are not praising somebody just with the agenda to get the food or the money from that person. Or we are not praising somebody's generosity just to get money. Some people do that. Oh, Emilia, you're so generous. You gave Pallavi like 1,000 euro yesterday. So then I hope, that she will do the same with me. Or that, or one should also not, how's it called? Pull one's rank. Like I'm VIP so and so. Like I deserve to be. Get these things, so there are many things like how we could have a wrong livelihood, and that should of course not be the case here. And then excellent conduct is more than related to, for example, that we should avoid a negative conduct in regards to the Dharma, that we make a business out of Dharma, or that we forget our vows and samayas, and but also like in other more also in the worldly conduct. We should of course not have I don't know the word, but we shouldn't have a conduct full of scandals, or we should not it's of course be a vegan, that would be the best, but if possible at least don't kill anyone, like actively, those things. And so that is what Shantideva is praying here, that we have a good discipline, a good ethical behavior, which is and that we keep our vows, and vows are like in Vajrayana it said, like the samayas are our friends, the friends that like Sangha friends, like on the path. So samayas or vows are never like a burden or never enforced on us, but they're friendly, helpful, supportive to simplify our life, and direct our life on our spiritual journey. And we should of course be mindful throughout our lives. And that could also mean throughout our or their lives, like in plural. So it also means Shantideva is praying that we remember our past lives, because that would be actually good. And then with a little bit wisdom, maybe we can understand more how karma works. And I think that would be super cool, if I understand why I have, I don't know, maybe let's say a certain physical problem in this life, if I would see the causes for that, that I think would be super good for us to learn and have a good learning curve or whatever, that we could really have an increased understanding. And I think there's also a story of a girl who then suddenly remembered her past lives, and she was a dog, and she was receiving, or she was there when Shariputra gave teachings, and sort of by connecting to that incarnation, she then became a nun in this life, and then she practiced and became enlightened. So that is like a very classical, simple story, but I think it would be super helpful to see really the cause and result relationships of big and small actions. Okay, then 28. Maybe just whenever you want to say something, raise your hand and virtual hand, and then may all beings be without want for wealth, just like the treasury of space. Yeah, and here again, contentment is the best wealth. Then we always have enough. Treasury of space is actually like a specific samadhi that the bodhisattvas have, and they can manifest whatever teachings or texts in the space, because of their samadhi. And without it being the source of dispute or harm, may they always enjoy as they wish. Yeah, usually people like to fight, and we are all very competitive, and it's very exhausting, and we all want to keep our belongings and maybe increase it, So there, Shantideva is asking or praying that we all be free from that kind of struggle, but that we just, without animosity, without competition, may we always enjoy whatever we wish for. And also that we enjoy what we have, like usually we don't do that. We have so much, but want so much more. Veronica.
Yes, you just commented very briefly that line with the treasury of space and linked that to a vow. Is that correct? Could you comment a little bit more? I'm not sure I got the point.
No, that's linked to a specific samadhi or meditation of bodhisattvas. That is the example here. So they have a specific absorption mentally, and thanks to that they can. So there's so many specific absorptions the bodhisattvas or Buddhas can have, and they always fulfill a certain function. And this samadhi has the function that they can manifest whatever precious thing just in space, like texts, teaching texts.
Okay.
Maybe you have read the Heart Sutra. There's also, Buddha is going into the samadhi that is called profound illumination, it is said there. And that samadhi is sort of, is the cause for Shariputra not to be shy and asking the right questions, so that is the function of that samadhi. Suddenly Shariputra and Arhat is interested in Mahayana practice, that is classically unheard of, but that samadhi of Buddha has that power.
Okay, thank you.
Milarepa also did similar things. I forgot how they were called. He could also transform the space into earth or something solid suddenly out of a good motivation. I forgot the story, but yeah, those things.
I had the same question. And it's actually a little more clear in the Padmakara one, which says, may everyone have unrestricted wealth, just like the treasury of space. So for me, connecting to this, it's like how space is unlimited. So may they always have like unrestricted wealth. But somehow the line in this Stephen Batchelor ones is slightly different. It's a little different connotation. If you can you put that up?
Yeah, that's true. Wait, Zudem. May all beings be without want for wealth.
Want for wealth. So it's but here it's like, may everyone have unrestricted wealth, just like the treasury of space. For me, this, I don't know, somehow this makes a little more.
But Stephen Batchelor is more like actually talking about contentment, no? You don't have the want. That's
but
actually
how
not.
would you connect that with the second line? That in that same context, it's I'm not. I did okay. Considering this particular two lines, how would we bring both together?
Yeah, and without the want that is the source of dispute or harm. No.
No.
May they always.
Treasury of space and not without want for wealth.
No, the one for wealth, I think, is it.
Without want for wealth. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a little bit cryptic because I think it refers
Yeah.
back to.
I mean, I can understand the first and third coming together, but the first and second coming together, I'm not really clear. Like the context of both together.
Yeah, I think if you have the power of treasury of space, if you have that samadhi, then yeah, you have everything you ever wanted, and then the want is oblivious. I don't know. It's just like you are satiated, no more want.
Okay.
If you eat palak paneer like 1 week, 3 times per day, no more want.
Yeah. Okay. Now I get it. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if there's a palak paneer samadhi actually. Could be. Yeah, but yeah, I think we talked about that last time also. Like, yeah, Tibetan or it was Sanskrit. There's many. There this, especially in poetry, right? In English, there are like the small words are not mentioned. It's just the big words, and then that's why if you create an English translation, sometimes you have to add the small words like for, like, in, of, and so on, and that then creates different interpretations.
Because both the translations, it's quite different, but
yeah,
now I get it.
Okay, then 29. May those who have little splendor, like no charisma, or where like teeny tiny mouses, we say in German, like grayish and shy, and one is suffering from being oppressed, but because of that, or overshadowed by your massive husband or whatever, and or by other beings, then yeah, one is creating a lack of confidence, and yeah, one has stage fright or is not able to stand or speak in front of others. It is always, splendor is usually used for King Trising Detsen or Jamin Khyentse Bangpo, that they have this majestic presence. Come endowed with majesty, exactly. So may they really have that self-confidence and have that courage and have that brightness or majestic presence. Of course, we can all develop it, but for them, it's usually in their attributions. And may those whose body are worn with toil find magnificent and noble forms. Yeah, and if we have, as a human, for example, if we have physical disadvantages or disformities, or maybe also in the commentaries, if we are really not attractive, but attractive not in the sexual sense, but just like, I think the Dalai Lama is attractive, like it's so nice to look at him, and I think that is the job of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, so to attract beings, like that. Find magnificent and noble forms. Yeah. Then 30. May all lower life forms in the universe take rebirth in higher forms. May the lowly obtain grandeur and may the proud be humbled. Oh, I was not aware that he's translating it like that. Pallavi, I'm sure you have something else in Padmakara, no? With 30. Yeah. Can you read it? Sorry.
May all, the 31, may all the women of the world attain the strength of masculinity, and may the lowly come to excellence, the proud and haughty lose their arrogance.
Yeah, I thought we have to go into the discussion with the women here, but luckily it's not even topic here in in Stephen Batchelor's, but in Tibetan it's really like woman, you know, like and so Shantideva is saying basically the idea is so basically he's saying that the women in some translations become attain the strength of a man, you know, or have but that please don't I should not even raise that problem, but it's not meant like that.
Actually, it was in that era also where it was seen that way, but of course it doesn't apply these days that you have to be like having that masculine strength.
But the idea is still that that women are underprivileged even nowadays, you know, and at that time much more, you know. So the wish of Shantideva is that everybody who is underprivileged, especially the women, that's why he's really mentioning women. In Tibetan it's mentioned, may they have the same conducive situation like the men, you know, may they have the same ideal position and the same whatever salary and rights and everything. So that is really the idea. And at that time, I recently checked a commentary. There's also written that women had some diseases at that time that men just couldn't have and so that made then they were very difficult to treat, and so that is also then difficult. Yeah, I don't know. And also other commentators said, yeah, women at that time were more bullied, you know, or taken advantage of. I mean, this we still have. And yeah, so that is, it's all meant like that, you know. Please always know Buddha taught precious human life, and that was always gender-free. Buddha taught about Buddha nature, which is always gender-free. But then, yeah, the outer circumstances are different, and they have been always, I mean, in most of our cultures have been in favor of men. So therefore, yeah, Shantideva is saying, yeah, may women and everyone who is not having a good situation, may he or be, may he, she be in that better conducive situation. Yeah, at that time, and Katya, yes. Wait, that was, yeah, the Vaibhashika school, I think, is saying that what Katya is writing here. Isn't there also the idea that you had to be a man to attain enlightenment at that time? Yes. Recently with Sunam, who some of you know, Sunam Jamso from Dzongsar, who lives in Hamburg, Germany, he said, yeah, it's like that in Mipam Rinpoche's Gateway to Knowledge, Kenchuk, that is really written like that. And Mipam Rinpoche, that's not Mipam Rinpoche's view, but he is copy pasting what the Vaibhashika, the lower school of Buddhism, is saying. And yeah, that was actually the view at that time. But then Buddha definitely taught different things, and he was super inclusive for women, which was a very revolutionary or rebellious act at that time, you know, that he ordained women and so on. I mean, he did really a lot, which was very provocative in the very patriarchic time that he lived in. But from Mahayana point of view, so the higher schools, they don't see any difference there. Yeah, men or women, like the body is the same, has the same potential or opportunity to attain Buddhahood. I actually heard Dzongsar Khyentse Rinpoche once say that he thinks women are actually more suited, especially, and he also said that it's actually better if you're heterosexual that you have a teacher of the opposite sex. So he said that actually, so he thinks that's even good that there are so many male teachers, because it's actually good for the women. But I don't know if he was really meaning it literally. But yeah, but anyway, the point is, from my point of view, yes, the gender really doesn't matter. Okay, so but here the point is really like, may all beings who have difficult situations and conditions and circumstances and therefore are not supported in their practice, may they all find strong, good, supportive situations, circumstances, and situations so that they can practice. I don't know, but if that is, but you know, the Pope thing, there are always male popes, but there's a German movie called The Female Pope, and so that also is discussing that topic, you know, that they were not, girls were not even allowed to read, you know, that is like, that is blocking so much, you know, that's just simple, that not allowing that, you know. So then, I think that was the most controversial verse. Then 31. By the merits I have accumulated, may every single being abandon all forms of evil and perpetually engaged in virtue. Yeah, here the I is Shantideva. He has accumulated a lot of merit by composing the Bodhicaryavatara or by teaching it. And so, yeah, and he's hoping that all beings that are also like limitless as the sky is vast, that everybody is overcoming negative actions and is, yeah, doing good things. That's easy. May they never be parted from the awakening mind, Bodhisattva, and may they always engage in Bodhicaryavatara. So may they always listen, study, reflect, meditate, practice, embody the teachings of the Bodhisattva. That means like, may they always practice the 6 parameters, and may they be cared for by the Buddhas. Yeah, may they find their gurus and teachers, authentic ones, of course. And then, yeah, may they be really like free from negative actions. And yeah, also may they be free from, yeah, again, difficult circumstances. If there's a lot of fighting around one, if there's a lot of worldly business one has to do, or if one, yeah, is not yeah, you know, what is the word? Yeah, if one has this poverty mentality, you know, that we think I'm not good enough, or my knowledge is not good enough, or Bodhisattva is too big, you know, or I'm too lazy, you know, these things. So that all that should be overcome, and instead one should practice 6 parameters on Bodhisattva. Then 33. May sentient beings have lives inconceivable long when in fortunate realms. Yeah, that's a good bracket, because yeah, the hell realms, you know, if you calculate this, sometimes it's kalpas or millions of years, you know, how long they are traditionally said to live there. But here we basically talk, yeah, may we have a long, precious human life, you know, because with that we can practice the Dharma and be really of benefit for others. Yeah, may they always live in contentment, happy, and unfamiliar even with the word death or untimely death. Yeah, so I think that is like a hidden praise to the precious human life, and that we should have that as long as possible. There's some animals here, no? Like Indian dogs. Then 34. May there abound in all directions. So I think this is, again, it's like more like a prayer that the whole world and the environment is transformed into a pure land. May there abound in all directions gardens of wish-fulfilling trees, and so that we can all get the things that we really need, filled with the sweet sound of Dharma. The teachings are resounding there, proclaimed by the Buddhas and their kids. yes, their sons, that is, or heirs, you know, H-E-I-R-S. So that are always the Bodhisattvas. And yeah, there's actually no gender in that term. Oh, sometimes there is in Tibetan. It's sometimes prince. It's really like male, but of course it means male and female. So heirs, I think, is a good word here. Who hold the legacy of Buddhas or who follow the footsteps of the Buddhas that are the Bodhisattvas. And may the land everywhere be pure, wholesome, clean, smooth and devoid of any rocks, just because it's dangerous and we might lose our precious human life. Level like the palm of the hand, so very spacious and flat. And what is it? No Lego on the ground, because that is super painful if you step on Lego. I don't know, the plaything. And of the nature of lapis lazuli. Yeah, I don't know. The lapis lazuli, yeah, is a stone, right? Could be a little bit hard, but it's also said in the commentaries that it should be very smooth and but with nice color. Yeah, these are all like culturally colored descriptions, you know, of yeah, what is like a conducive surrounding. I think that could be a little bit adapted if we don't feel touched by that. We can think of other examples. Then 36, for all the circles of disciples, may many bodhisattvas dwell in every land, adorning them with their excellent manifestations. Yeah, that is a little bit like what was Veronica was liking that, right? If you are lost in a forest, you know, that you have good companions. That is a little bit what the bodhisattvas here are asked to do, you know, that they manifest wherever people are lost, whenever people are alone, whenever people need guidance or help. And then, yeah, the bodhisattvas, I mean, they have their bodhisattva vow, so they don't need to be reminded actually, but here, yeah, may that manifestation of bodhisattvas, their presence, may that easily function, so that yeah, whenever there are students or whenever there are people in need, then may they manifest the bodhisattvas, and that could be as a human, as a person, but it could of course also be as the teaching itself, or could be also just like a conducive circumstance, you know, if it's like too hot, you know, that a cold breeze, or good food if there's none, you know, or medicine if there's sickness. And yeah, so from especially from Vajrayana, we try to perceive everything that is good or helpful in a difficult circumstance, you know, as the manifestation of our guru or of the Buddha. So that is, I think, the similar idea here. 37. Please, whenever there's something, just raise your hand. But yeah. May all embodied creatures, yeah, again, that are sentient beings, uninterruptedly hear the sound of Dharma issuing from birds and trees. Yeah, instead of just a bird singing, or I don't know, the word, if a tree, the leaves make noise, or some old trees are sighing or something. So maybe hear that as Dharma teachings, or in Vajrayana we could also say mantras, beams of light, and even space itself. Hear the sounds of Dharma issuing from the tree. Yeah, the idea is that that everything that we can hear or see or perceive, that is triggering us to contemplate on the truth, you know, on the Dharma, and to get deeper understanding of the Dharma. And yeah, I think that's the main idea. 38. Again, it's similar to yeah, may all beings have good connection with the Buddhas and Dharmas and also with their teachers. May they always meet with the Buddhas and their daughters and sons, comma, the Bodhisattvas. Then may these spiritual masters of the world be worshipped with endless clouds of offering. Yeah, so may all beings have the connection to authentic teachers. Yeah, and teachers are, it said, nowadays more important than the Buddha because we can't meet the Buddha, so therefore we have to rely on teachers. Therefore the Mahayana teachings, not even Vajrayana, but the Sutra Mahayana teachings are saying that therefore the kindness of the teacher is even greater because he or she is manifesting in our times. Could of course be a manifestation of the Buddha, that is not excluded. And then, yeah, we worship them with endless clouds of offering or services. Yeah, and then I'm sure you have heard Chikpa Lingpa is talking about like 3 types of offering. The external offering is really like if we support the teacher with material things like food or money even. And the medium sort of offering is if we are offering our service, you know, I don't know, driving the teacher or organizing teachings. And then the best offering to the teacher is like practicing, you know, that we really practice the Dharma. No. 39. May celestials in and here that is more like really like samsaric beings, you know, could be even nagas or spirits or gods who have that ability, you know, to bring rain, which is important, you know, if there is too much drought, so that harvests may be bountiful. Otherwise, there's famine, and then there's death. May kings act in accordance with Dharma, and the people of the world always prosper. Yeah, that was definitely the tradition in Tibet, no? That there were these Dharma Rajas, the Dharma kings. I think in the ancient Greek, that was also the idea, no? That wise people are the leaders. It makes sense. I mean, like the Dalai Lama, he was really revered as the god and king at the same time, in our words. Yeah. And otherwise, yeah, if we have selfish, self-centered or egomanic kings, dictators, then yeah, that will only lead to war, you know, that sooner or later, and injustice. So therefore, yeah, let's really pray that our leaders, kings, presidents, chancellors are as wise and compassionate as possible and skillful when talking with each other. May all medicines be effective, number 40. And the repeating of mantras successful. So that could be, yeah, also healing mantras or spells, you know, so that they really bring the benefits. And here may the Dakinis, I mean, Dakinis usually have a compassionate mind, and cannibals that are more like spirits, you know, that move in space, you know, like there are different kinds of spirits, like maybe you have heard yakshas or rakshasas, or pretas could be also meant with that. Or they also talk about ogres, you know, like Shrek in the movies. But Shrek was a very kind one. I mean, he was compassionate. No, but maybe sometimes, I don't know, maybe when he was a little bit hangry, he was not so well. But anyway, so may all of them be compassionate and kind. Then 41, may no living creature ever suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. yeah, may really everybody be free of suffering mentally or physically, and may no one be afraid or belittled, or their minds ever be depressed. Okay, guys, do you have 10 more minutes? Then we maybe just finish the chapter today. Okay, I just give me 1 minute. I need to get my charger. See you, and maybe do your bio break if you need anything like input or output. Okay, doke. Then I hope you are back. Yeah, but they're really not so difficult. I think this we already had 41, right? Did we have 41? Yes. Then 42. In all temples and monasteries, so that means like where really like representatives of the Dharma are present, like scriptures, statues, stupas, may reading and recitation flourish and remain.
Your screen is not shared, Arne.
That's true. So then there may the Dharma really be listened to, contemplated upon, recited, meditated, embodied. May the Sangha always be in harmony, supporting each other. And then, yeah, may the purpose, which is Buddhahood for all sentient beings, may that be accomplished. Yeah, one can really add prayers that there's no schism in the Sangha. I mean, nowadays we have that quite often because sometimes there are like 2 reincarnations recognized of one teacher, and then people go different directions and against each other. So therefore, yeah, it's always good to be very open-minded, like the Rime spirit. 43. Monks or nuns who desire or wish to practice, find quiet and solitary places. That was mentioned also a lot in the 8th chapter, that we need solitude because it's just too much turmoil with sentient beings or with the world in the city. So therefore it's good from time to time to retreat. Not out of anger or anything or bitterness, but with compassion, to then practice well in solitude and then come back to the to the sentient beings. And through having abandoned all wandering thoughts when being in retreat, may they meditate with flexible minds. Yeah, I think that is also something that, like, once Khyentse Rinpoche was asked, yeah, what is really the good sign or the best sign of a good practitioner? And he said, yeah, flexibility, you know. And I think that is also like in evolution, you know, like the species that is most flexible or adaptable. I think Darwin was saying that, or somebody, yeah, will survive, you know. So we need really a flexible, serviceable mind. And that happens, yeah, if we are not so rigid with our self-clinging. May none be materially sufficient and have no difficulties there, but also get the same sponsoring, abandon quarrel with each other and be unharmed. Yes, that's of course true for monks too. May they not fight, but be peaceful. Similarly, may all ordained ones never let the morality weaken. So may everybody is holding their vows. Yeah, because yeah, it really simplifies the life. What I said earlier, it's really cooling down the heat of the kleshas. Then now we talk about if the discipline or the vows are not held properly. Having repented any moral faults, may evil always be eradicated, and thereby obtaining a happy state of birth. May spiritual conduct not decline even there. So I mean, we don't. I mean, we talk about the idea is we should think about if the discipline is not well, you know, how much, yeah, we harm others and ourselves, how much we're not listening to the teachings anymore, how much we forget what we have heard, how much little progress we do. And therefore, yeah, we should be really sincere, and we should do our confession or practice or purification practice, and yeah, overcome negative actions or negative tendencies, and that will create good future circumstances, happy state of birth, and then yeah, we can then also continue our practice. 46, may the wise be honored. That is, of course, not for their sake, but it implies that we understand what is wisdom and what is a good ethical conduct. And may they receive alms. Of course, they need also to be supported. May their mind be completely pure, and may they be renowned in all directions. And that is, again, not selfishly meant selfishly, but yeah, really they should inspire all beings, and therefore it's good, you know. I think the Dalai Lama is one of the most famous people in the world, and that's good, you know. There's a small connection that everybody has with him. May beings not experience the misery of lower realms, because there's just too much suffering. There's no freedom to practice the Dharma. May they never know any long-lasting hardships or difficulties. But with a physical form, a human form, which is superior to God's, because gods have a too good time, you know, so therefore they don't have the thorn of suffering sort of that is triggering them to practice. So therefore we always wish that beings take the human form, and then by practicing Bodhisattva path, Bodhicaryavatara, may they swiftly attain Buddhahood. Then, sorry for galloping, but I think it's all clear. May sentient beings again and again make offerings to all the Buddhas. Yeah, I said already what Jigme Lingpa said. There are the 3 types of offerings. The best is just to practice the Dharma. And may they constantly be joyful with the inconceivable bliss of the Buddhas. Yeah, that is basically the Buddhahood. That is some permanent happiness, if you want, you know, some inconceivable inexpressible state beyond usual conditioned happiness or suffering. Just as they have intended, may the Bodhisattvas fulfill the welfare of the world. That means, like, yeah, may really the Bodhisattvas, may their activities and practice really be efficient to bring people on the path to enlightenment and bring them to Buddhahood. And the same also here, and may all sentient beings receive whatever the Buddhas have intended for them. So may all sentient beings be guided, supported, assisted by the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Similarly, may the Pratyeka Buddhas, that are those who like to be more alone and practice without a teacher and contemplate on death by contemplating on the 12 links of dependent origination, and other the Shravakas who receive teachings and teach them to others. Both of them have compassion, but not that much as Bodhisattvas, find happiness, and actually from Mahayana point of view, may they then enter Mahayana path at some point to attain Buddhahood. True, because Pratyeka Buddhahood or Shravakayana Arhathood is not the final goal from Mahayana point of view. So may they really find everlasting, complete happiness or enlightenment / Buddhahood. So now 51 to 56, a little bit different dedication is that we maybe we ourselves may be able to manifest the Buddha activities. So 51. And until I reach the level of the joyous one, that is the first bhumi, the first step, sort of as a sort of already enlightened, but not fully enlightened Bodhisattva, through the kindness of Manjushri, or Manjugosha is another name, which is one of the main yidams or deities of Shantideva, may I be mindful throughout my lives. That is again, may we remember all the previous life to really have certainty in the working of karma, and always obtain ordination. Yeah, you can see it like literally by understanding that as a normal householder, maybe it's too distractive. Therefore, it's maybe good to be ordained. But the main thing is, doesn't have to be literally being ordained, but the main thing is, that we really focus our practice, or not focus our life on the practice and study. And 52, may I live and be sustained by simple common food. So maybe be healthy and happy and have the food that we need, and maybe also have the contentment that we don't need like 5-star food every day. And in all my lives, may I find the ideal solitude of practicing Dharma, which of course comes from renunciation, that we are not so much more interested in worldly things. And then comes a very famous praise that we also find in the praise, like at the end of a praise to Manjushri very often. Whenever I wish to see something, or see him actually, whenever I wish to see Manjushri, or even wish to ask the slightest question, he's praying to his own deity. May I behold without any hindrances, may there be no obstacles, but really like clearly in front of Shantideva, may there be Manjushri himself, may there be the Lord Manjugosha himself. So we can pray like that to whatever deity is our most important, or our guru, But something here is not so good. I think it should be whenever I wish to see him or her. Could be Tara, or even wish to ask the slightest question, may I behold without any hindrances Tara herself. 54. In order to fulfill the needs of beings who reach unto the ends of space, may my way of life be just like that of Manjugosha. So in order to attain the twofold goal, so that we attain Buddhahood and that we can guide others to attain Buddhahood, and then we think of all beings that are limitless in number, like the space is vast. Yeah, we just follow Manjusri's footsteps, or our deities or lamas' footsteps. Oh, and 55, this is a favorite one from the Dalai Lama, so I let him read that. Wait, I found the video somewhere. I hope the audio is fine. Wait. Here. Oh yeah, here it is. So confusing. Wait, I don't know if you can see here. Share sound, optimize video clip. Okay. So that is now verse 55.
This is my favorite prayer. Daily I pray this. That gives me inner strength. So enthusiasm to serve sentient being, humanity on this one. As long as space remains, and as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and help dispel the misery of the world.
Yeah, I think that is very clear and beautiful. That is also recited very often. So we really wish to not be in samsara, but we appear in samsara, out of compassion and wisdom, to really dispel the misery of the world, the suffering of sentient beings. And yeah, we are then equipped with wisdom and compassion. Therefore, what we talked about last time, we will not be suffering so much. And even if we suffer a little bit, we have the courage to do that because we know we can help others there. Then 56, may all the pains of living creatures or beings, that means all samsaric beings, ripen solely upon myself. So that is sort of the practice that we just wish, that we take all the suffering of others on ourselves and give them all our happiness. And through the might of the Bodhisattva Sangha, may all beings experience temporal happiness and ultimate happiness. So through the might of Bodhisattva Sangha or practice, you can also say. Then 57. Now we wish for the long life of the Dharma, also super important. May the teachings, which are the sole medicine for suffering, because it's really the antidote to samsara. It's the opposite of suffering. It's the opposite of the causes of suffering, and the origin of every joy, because it brings Buddhahood and also like temporal happiness also. Even if I'm not, so if I practice a little bit selflessness and love and compassion today, that of course brings me closer to Buddhahood, the ultimate happiness, but also today, my day will be better, because I didn't fight, I didn't get angry, I will sleep better, and things like that. There's also temporal happiness already now, So may all of them be materially supported and honored and abide for a very long time. Just need to check one thing. Okay. So we really hope that the teachings will last, that people can always listen to it and have access to it and be benefited by it. And then the very last concluding verse is, I prostrate to Monyogosha, through whose kindness wholesome minds ensue. So Shantideva is paying homage with his body, speech, and mind to his main deity, Manjushri, because, Manjushri's kindness or blessing is what really put Shantideva on the path, and he was the guide and companion on his path And so Shantideva practiced the path and attained, I think, the bhumis or whatever. And also he is prostrating, Shantideva is prostrating to his, with body, speech, and mind to his spiritual masters, through whose kindness I develop. As I said, they are like, they are really like the beings that we need, around us and that can guide us. And that's it. 10th chapter finished, surprisingly. And by that also the entire book is finished again, or completed, sort of. And yeah, thank you for joining. And as Shantideva, the whole text, if you have not read it, please read it. And it's really like a must read, must contemplate, must meditate upon book. And it's, one can study it, but the main thing is, of course, that is to practice it, to really put it into life. So then there is the benefit for oneself and others. Okay, let's dedicate. Thank you so much for coming. And a few dedications. By this merit, having attained omniscience and defeated the enemy of wrongdoing, may I free all beings from the ocean of existence with its tumultuous waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. Just as the heroic Manjushri who knows everything as it is, and as Samantha Bhatwa likewise did too, just so to follow all of them and train myself, I perfectly dedicate these meritorious actions. May the precious Supreme Bodhisattva arise in those in whom it has not arisen. Having arisen, may it not diminish, but ever expand more and more. As long as space remains, and as long as the world remains, may I too remain to elevate the suffering of the world. May I, in each and every lifetime, carry the weight of Buddha Shakyamuni's teachings. And if I cannot bear that weight, at the very least, may I be born with the burden of thinking that the Buddha Dharma could wane. So, again, thank you so much. For me personally, I'm happy that it's now the second time I went through the entire Bodhicaryavatara like this. So that is good. Makes me happy just to have lived that long so far. And thanks to Shantideva, thanks to Dzongsar Khyentse Rinpoche, and also thanks to Natya, who started the wish to do that. Thank you so much, Arne. Do you already know what's next? Yes, what's next will be like from June onwards. Alex Trisogli and I, we will do Uttara Tantra Shastra, like also a little bit open ending. And we will try a new format, which is more like a conversation between us and all of you who are joining. So it will be more conversational style that we go through the Uttara Tantra Shastra, which is the classical main text on Buddha nature.
When are you starting, Arne?
June. Okay, thank you all. Take good care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Arne.
There is some question from somebody.
So kind.